I am so excited to speak to our guest today. She's a nurse all the way from Canada, an aesthetic injector, and the sunscreen queen herself. Please help me to introduce Injector Alyssa.
Hello, everybody. So excited to be here and have some questions to answer. This is my first time doing this, a formal interview. So I'm really excited to kind of share my thoughts.
Yeah, no worries. You're going to do great. You're going to do great. So let's jump right into it.
Hi, my name is McLean, and I'm the founder and CEO of McLean Aesthetics.
Welcome to the dark side.
Let's go. All right. So Alyssa, tell the audience, how did you get started in the aesthetic industry?
So I think like many people in the industry, you have a love for beauty, modifications, art and everything. So from a super young age, I loved art and I loved getting creative and I loved makeup and skincare. And then it kind of just folded into my career after nursing. So it was it was an easy transition for me. I kind of always knew I wanted to be a nurse. And then once I found this aesthetic world and cosmetic injections, it was a no-brainer, instantly. I was like, I'm diving in.
Yeah, no, I can definitely understand that. Tell us a little bit about what was artistic in your background. Like, what did you do as a kid that you knew, okay, this definitely correlates?
Yeah, so I actually really loved molding clay. I know it's kind of crazy because, you don't really see much, clay art anymore. But from a young age, I loved, painting, molding. That's kind of what I stuck to. But I loved doing that when I was really, really young. And I think a baseline of happiness as an adult is kind of tapping into what you enjoyed doing as a kid.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
How did you land your first job?
So my very first job in the aesthetics industry was actually while I was in nursing school. So it was at a little Medi Spa in St. Albert, which is a small town outside of Edmonton, which is where I'm based out of, where I focused on lasers. And then in nursing school, I kind of expanded my thoughts into, as a nurse, I can do a lot more than just lasers. So once I graduated nursing, I took a little bit of a break from medical aesthetics and I was going in and out of town doing rural nursing in another small town in Valley View. So I got my hands-on practice. I learned my bedside skills, which, you learn or you have. And then after that, I started working at another medical spa where I was heavy skin focused and skin rejuvenation. And then I decided to take the leap and take my cosmetic training just this last year. So you actually approached me at a very interesting time because I'm a very new injector with, a good background in skin health and holistic health. So I think it's been the perfect leeway. But I'm definitely a bit of a newer injector, but I have some great mentors that I'm looking forward to learning from and currently learning with. And I had really amazing training from CAMA up in Canada.
Nice. How did you find your mentors? How can people find a mentor?
Do your research. I think it's super important to, look for somebody who has lots of experience in the industry, someone who understands holistically the aesthetics industry and isn't just solely focused on, okay, I just do lips or I just do cheeks or I just do injectables. My vision for my mentors was a mentor who, has years of experience, has dealt with complications, preferably a physician. So they do have that background in everything aesthetics, because aesthetics are not just, the superficial. There's so much more that goes into it. And being a new injector, I'm just a sponge right now. I'm here to learn and I'm here to grow.
Nice. How long have you been working in the industry prior to getting into aesthetics?
So after my break from the first Medi Spa, I'd say about 3.5 to 4 years of experience in the aesthetics industry.
Nice. And what were the biggest things that you learned, or you can give for tips for people that are transitioning into this industry?
Ooh, that's such a good question because there's so many people getting in the industry. So I would definitely say the biggest tip for those who are wanting to get into the industry is get a baseline of knowledge outside of just injectables. If you're a nurse that wants to do injections, have a good understanding of skin health, have a good understanding of anatomy. And, you know, I think one of the biggest things that's not talked about is an ego. You got to do some self-work before getting into this industry because it can be very cutthroat, and you need to be moral driven, I think is huge. So, you know, have a well-established background in skin, have a well-established background in anatomy, and then do your research. Like, make sure what you're investing in is going to provide you with good education, good support. And yeah, be a good person. Get your ego in check because without having that in check, this industry will swallow you whole.
Yeah. Do you have any good examples of that you could provide? I would love that if you had any.
Yeah. So, you know, you have a lot of clients coming in who I feel almost bad saying this, but there's a lot of body dysmorphia. There's a lot of people that are looking at their social media day to day and saying, I want to look like this person or I want to look like that person. And I think, you know, seeing your client as a whole and not just as a singular treatment is really important because, you know, if someone's coming in and they're wanting to spend some money on a treatment, but you know that they don't need that treatment, you need to dig deep down and kind of think, hey, you know, maybe this treatment isn't right for you. Let's approach something else a little bit differently. So, you know, for example, a client comes in to me last week and she's wanting to get lip filler and cheek filler and chin filler. Kind of had to say to her, you know, you don't need the lip filler. You don't need the lip filler. I think you're stunning without the lip filler. You have beautiful lips. And, you know, we can maybe discuss down the road, but right now let's put it on hold.
So really redirecting them and kind of educating them.
Yes, proper communication. That's another big thing that I forgot to mention for new injectors. Make sure you have good communication and good teaching strategies. Know your teaching style and what you're good at when communicating.
Definitely. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
What are people asking for? What are clients asking for in your area as far as aesthetics is concerned?
So I would say the most common treatments that I'm doing are treatments for the side profile. People want to see the, you know, the nice angles in the photos. They want to see the good profiles. But one thing I'm seeing so much more of is acne as well. So skin concerns, you know, so many people deal with acne. So I see a lot of that as well. And I love treating acne. I really do love treating skin conditions because I find it is the biggest transformation for people's, you know, souls in a way. But yeah, I would say the side profiles are really big. People want to see that nice projection of that bottom lip to the chin. They want to see that nice high cheekbone. They want to have that bright eyes, that brow lift. So I would say a lot of the side profiling and a lot of skin.
Nice. What are some simple skincare tips that anybody, like one or two simple skincare tips that anybody can take away from this and use at home?
Yeah. So part of my brand with Sunscreen Queen is the ABCs, focus on prevention. So when I talk about ABCs, I talk about it with almost every single client that comes in, whether it be even if they're coming in for Botox, dermal filler, skin treatments. My ABCs go like this. A is your retinol, vitamin A, tretinoin. B is your sunscreen. You want to be protecting your skin from the sun, obviously. And then B or C is going to be your vitamin C, your peptides. This is going to protect your skin against environmental factors. It's going to, you know, stimulate healthy cells to grow. So I focus on the simple things with skincare, which is a part of moral selling. I'm not selling my clients a whole regime that I really don't think that they need. Stick to the basics with skin and then go from there.
Nice. Now you live in Canada. Some people always say, oh, it's so snowy there. There's hardly any sunlight. Why do we have to wear sunscreen all the time?
Yeah, so that's actually a really common misconception. And it's something I talk about, daily, sometimes 3 times a day. But whether it be cloudy, you could be in Mexico and it's cloudy and be like, oh, I don't need sunscreen, and you're still going to burn. So I think at the end of the day, you got to focus on, again, prevention. And there's a really interesting photo, and I think it's actually something you would enjoy seeing as well. But there is this picture of this truck driver who, was a truck driver his whole life. The left side of his face, completely different than the right side. So there's this tool called the Avizia Assessment Tool, and it's a skin analysis platform. And it's really interesting because you can see like the skin at the deeper levels, and you see so much more damage on the left side, even for someone like myself, than the right side. So that's why I'm big on sunscreen, because people are coming in and they're wanting to get dermal filler and they're wanting to get Botox and PRP and mesotherapy and everything. But, the baseline is if you're investing in treatments and products and services, you need to start with the basics. Otherwise, there's no point in spending your money. There's no point in, investing in those treatments if you're not going to take care of it properly.
Is that the same for like medical grade skincare too? You must use that if you're going to get Botox and filler, or can you use stuff from like Sephora?
Yeah, so I actually really love that question. I have no animosity towards non-medical grade products. Where I see the most value and the most evidence is going to be in your tretinoins, your retinols, so it can be pharmaceutical grade or medical grade, and your vitamin C's. Go for a good vitamin C. There's a very common misconception that vitamin C is going to be great from any brand, but the reality of the situation is that vitamin C has a very short shelf life, and it's not going to last forever, and it needs to be held properly. So I'm a really big fan of Allumiere vitamin C. I'm a very big fan of SkinCeuticals vitamin C. There's evidence to support why their vitamin C has a short shelf life and how to use it properly. So I actually recommend CeraVe and Cetaphil for cleansers for all my clients. La Roche-Posay is another really great sunscreen that I recommend for a lot of my clients. But yeah, I stick to my basics. I'm not trying to sell my people on, things that they don't need. Stick to your basics. And I think that's, a part of my success is being super honest with my clients and not giving them, massive bills if they don't need to, right?
Yeah, no, I can definitely understand that. And that's great because they're going to want to come back to you because they know you're telling the truth.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Now let's talk about your branding. So you call yourself the sunscreen queen. Tell us how you got that name and why it's so important to brand yourself.
Yeah, so I think branding in this industry is super important. People want to associate something to you and they want to, remember you for something. So it was probably about 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, that I was really big on sunscreen with my clients, especially my acne clients. Sunscreen, again, is the baseline, take care of your skin from the most basic level and then, work yourself up to everything else. So Julie Wise, she's an injector here at Edmonton that I absolutely adore. Her branding is Queen of Face. And of course it's the perfect name, right? So it's definitely heavily inspired by Julie, who's actually my injectables trainer as well. So I really do look up to her. So sunscreen queen, it's easy, it's catchy, it's memorable, and it reminds people like wear your sunscreen,
I get that. I understand that. And
Yes.
that definitely would help. I'm like, yeah, wear my sunscreen. She's the one. So yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Now let's talk about a little bit about conferences and training.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Conferences or trainings that you can recommend for the audience.
Yeah, so Cutera is a laser company that I really love. They bring on physicians on stage. They're doing live demonstrations. They're discussing everything, dual modalities. So talking about lasers and injectables, which I really like, which I think is super important. As previously discussed, there are these things called cadaver labs. Now, they are, what I hear, one of the most valuable things that you can do as an injector, because no anatomy is going to be the same in a person, but to truly see me is so valuable. So I'm currently saving up for one in September. Lucier, I believe, is putting it on in Toronto. So I'm really excited for that. But I think one thing too is you got to be kind of choosy with the conferences you go to, because I have looked into some, and you got to be choosy the conferences you go to, that it's not just selling. Like, I want to go see webinars. I want to see, or not webinars, I want to see live demonstrations. So where I'm currently getting a lot of my education is through my mentors, and a lot of YouTube. So I really love YouTube. Dan Aesthetics is amazing. What is his name? Tim Pierce, Dr. Tim Pierce. So really been loving the kind of visualization of seeing these injectors do everything, but so many conferences out there, but I'm still, a little bit newer to the industry. These things are big bucks. So I want to save up some money, but I know that they're going to be, in my vision as an injector.
Great. Now, you have a very knack for social media, and you've been able to grow social media. Tell us what tips can you give to providers to grow their social media?
So I think what it comes down to is, prioritizing, but not over prioritizing. I still keep my focus on my clients and my one-to-ones, my follow-ups, my in-person. But I do set aside a good amount of time, unpaid time, to advertise and post before and afters and everything. One of my, biggest things when I have, new people in the industry reaching out, like, oh, like, how do I do what you do? And your social media looks great. Really put yourself out there, like, be yourself online. Like, you can't be the same injector that you see everywhere else. Like, put your personality out there, because at the end of the day, like, people want to see the version of you, the real version of you, because, it's good to see who you're going to be going to see for treatment beforehand. So I like putting my personality out there. I'm a very fun, happy person. Like, and I think it's important to portray that, people build that trust before actually seeing you. So be yourself online, build a brand that is true to yourself, and kind of ride with that.
For sure. How big is community?
How big is community?
How big is community, especially for this industry in your area?
Do you mean how big is community to me, or how big the community is in aesthetics?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. How important is community to you in the industry?
Yeah, I actually really love that word. I think it's very important. And the first thing I think of when I think of community is referring my clients to people that I trust, building a sense of community with my clients, and building a sense of community with other medical professionals, because I'm not going into this industry pretending like I know everything, because I simply don't. And other practitioners have stronger abilities than I do in some areas. So I think building a sense of community in regards to building that, patient to practitioner relationship, along with referring out, is super important. Like, you cannot be ego driven in this industry. Do not pretend like you know everything. And I think that just builds a stronger trust between you and other people in the industry, along with your clients as well. And I really love building relationships with other practitioners and maintaining those relationships. I have so much to learn. And I'm very driven by the fact that, like, I have my models that I look up to, and I have my aspirations, and I think it's important to give recognition to those around you and give your clients the best care. And sometimes that means sending to someone else.
Yeah, no, I can definitely understand that. Who are some key opinion leaders in this industry that the audience can look up and learn from?
Yeah. Okay. So, two names I'm thinking of right now. So this is kind of more so on the podcast side of things, but Jake Sloan, and I have their names written down because there's so many names I'm thinking of, but Jake Sloan and David Siegel. I've been listening to them for a very long time. So they're two physicians, I believe based in Europe, but they are up to date, and the Europeans are up to date with practices. So I really love listening to them. Dan Aesthetics as well. And then my mentors. So I have two physicians that I work for, Dr. Zaidan and then Dr. Marcia Hart. Both have been in the industry for a very long time. So where I see my most value is going to be with my physicians and learning from them. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Alyssa, so much for sitting down with me, speaking more about the aesthetic industry. Tell everybody where they can find you and what you got planned next.
Yeah, definitely. So my name is Alyssa Akins. You can find me at nurse_Ally_. I'm definitely going through a little bit of a rebranding phase. I'm going to be focusing big time on a holistic approach to my clients. I'm very big on nutrition and health, and kind of again with that sunscreen queen, starting from the basics and then going from there. So I'm going to be diving a little bit more into nutrition, along with learning from my mentors and just building my portfolio and my clientele. But I'm really excited to just keep learning. Like I'm just a sponge right now, and I just can't wait to kind of build my brand more, build my practice. And this was a very interesting time to go on a podcast because I am still very new, but I appreciate the recognition. I appreciate the questions, and I'm super excited. I'm very humbled and very flattered that you had me on your podcast. I watched a few of the videos, and I mean, so many amazing practitioners you've interviewed. So thank you so much.
Awesome. No worries. Thank you. And we'll definitely check back in with you down the line to see how everything's going. And until next time, bye.
Bye.